Financial services were just the start. Blockchain technology is changing what it means to be a bank. Stock exchanges are on course to be replaced by competitors that deal in tokens secured only by cryptography. The wave of decentralization will bring huge changes in practically every industry. And this article will help you see this process unfolding so you can invest intelligently. Our global society is experiencing a shift from centralized entities being the most viable to decentralized entities. The slow dissolution of the EU and the increasing irrelevance of the central banking system are facets of this deeper trend. Several years after Satoshi Nakamoto's famous white paper peer-to-peer electronic cash system, blockchain pioneers like Vitalik Buterin were writing about decentralized autonomous organizations. DAOs have some similarities to corporations, but rather than relying upon traditional legal and banking systems to exist, they rely upon smart contracts and blockchains. DAOs can be governed by autocracy, or democracy, or practically any governance system that can be imagined. If it can be coded, it can be put into existence through a DAO's code. And powered by cryptocurrency, this means exotic forms of governance such as liquid democracy and futarchy are increasingly feasible. Wings's predictive evaluations are an example of this new technology in action. Bear in mind, nation-states have been around for less than 500 years, and corporations even less, arriving around 200 years ago. DAOs are just as monumental a shift, even if we are only seeing basic forms at this point. Over a year ago, Slockit brought the first notable Ethereum-based DAO into existence. It was the most successful crowdfunding venture in human history. At the time, as the DAO was able to secure 11.5 M Ether, this was worth over $150 million at the time, and today would be nearly $9 billion. People could submit proposals, and token holders could vote to disperse the funds. Not a single proposal was approved. However, before an exploit was used to drain thousands of Ether, many of Ethereum's founders had significant investments in the DAO, which lead to the Ethereum network forking to recover the stolen funds. The story underscores a very important reality. Creating secure DAOs is incredibly difficult, for now. A number of projects are working to make DAO creation as easy as making a group on Facebook. Aragon and Colony are actively developing this area. And Wings is also filling the role of DAO generation in specialized manner, while Aragon and Colony seek to provide full service, to be able to do anything that a business would need to do. Wings is focused on the fundraising/token distribution functions. DAOs started on Wings will eventually be portable, so that projects can start off on Wings and then move to another DAO system after securing funding. Decentralized autonomous organizations are fundamentally different than traditional corporations and state-approved organizations. Their jurisdictions are not courts, but instead, networks of computers and code arbitrating decisions among private parties. Their marketplaces are their own, virtually independent of traditional market interfaces and dynamics. Their tribes are not defined by borders and common language, but by common interest. All this means that DAOs are accessible from anywhere the internet can be accessed by default. DAOs are global entities, although many of them currently are tied to legal entities and jurisdictions. This new type of organization opens up a huge number of possibilities. The first is giving people the power to collaborate across borders. Before DAOs, transnational businesses required massive capital in order to navigate varying laws and regulations. Because these new organizations are not typically tied to a particular person, or a particular bank account, or a particular computer, they are incredibly resilient to government interference. This allows humans to organize in ways that simply were not possible 10 years ago. We may see people use this technology to overthrow dictators, or perhaps provide experimental, yet life-saving biomedical compounds. Another important distinction between DAOs and traditional organizations is the relationship between labor and capital. DAOs frequently issue tokens which are similar to currency, accounting units. In a national or local economy, these tokens might be earned by anyone contributing value to the DAO, whether it be cryptocurrency, posting content, or doing some type of work that is incentivized by that DAO's protocol. Platforms like Facebook or Twitter recreated as cooperatives that are run by and for their users via consensus governance. Rather than relying on a management hierarchy, businesses today extract financial value from user behavior. We can turn this on its head and create a new form of employment wherein users are rewarded for their participation on the platform. Traditional businesses that focus on shareholder profits may be disrupted by DAOs that instead cut out the middleman and link those seeking value with those who actually produce it. Imagine being paid for your Instagram posts and likes of the crab cakes you had at your favorite restaurant. This reality is not that far away. We may well see in this coming decade the utter disruption of middlemen platforms like eBay, Airbnb, and Uber. Decentralized versions of these services might simply outcompete the corporations. Why pay Uber and Airbnb 10% when that money could be split between the consumer and the service provider instead? To be fair, there are some serious hurdles to reach this reality. People trust Uber and Airbnb to screen out bad actors and resolve disputes if they arise, but decentralized arbitration and reputation services are currently in development. This means that soon we will only need to pay for dispute resolution if a dispute arises. And as decentralized reputation systems gain traction, we will be able to move freely from platform to platform, without being stuck on a single site. For instance, a person with thousands of positive ratings on eBay is currently no better off than a new account if they start selling on Amazon or Craigslist. So with all the hype in the crypto economy reaching well past $500 billion recently, here are questions to ask yourself when evaluating DAOs. Is there already a market for this service? If so, what size is it? What cut do the existing middlemen providers take? How difficult will it be for humans to interact with this system? How complex is the project? How much of it requires smart contracts? How much of the smart contract code can be forked from existing projects? What are the incentives for people to use the system and keep coming back? Clearly, DAOs that focus on financial services will be the first to thrive, as we have seen with Bitcoin and Ethereum over time. Though, we will see DAOs rise to compete against all of the unicorns such as eBay, Airbnb, and Uber eventually. Even nation-states may end up being disrupted by DAOs that provide the same sort of services as governments. Without all the strongmen with guns and corrupt government officials, we now have the possibility of creating systems where everyone shares in the value created by the platform. Rather than that value being funneled to a small minority of investors, these cooperative platforms may prove to be more stable than profit-sucking ventures, because they encourage everyone to take ownership in the platform's success. Still, be cautious. Once a DAO is put onto a blockchain, there is rarely a chance to undo a bug, so be patient as the foundational technology is built and tested. 1. Eventually this trend from centralized to decentralized may continue to distributed power sharing, where self-sovereign individuals have more collective power than nations/corporations, but that is a topic for another article.